The other thing that struck me about the movie is how, I don't know what the right word is, maybe contrarian Seagal was. So it's about the mafia. So who do you have in the mafia? You have an Asian guy, a guy in a cowboy hat smokes a pipe, Tom Tully in a wheelchair with one leg selling guns. I mean,
and the beautiful Sherry North.
Who was hired by Zanuck as a rival to Marilyn Monroe.
That's right.
Back in the day. But he had all these wonderful character actors. But even the scene where he has Matho go up to Sherry North's place, and he has one angle on the shot, you see him going in, and then when Joe Don comes, he changes it around to show a completely different way of entering the same space. In other words, he was deliberately just being creative, even with minor things.
He was.
Like that.
I mean, no, he was the best. He really was.
Yeah.
I mean, the best I've ever worked with.
Wow. No.
Hands down.
Yeah. Let's go back a little bit in your career. Now, you started out. Did you know right away you were going to be an actor and started in the, as you said, off Broadway? Where did this all begin?
It began. I was going to be a school teacher probably, or I was thinking for about 5 seconds I was becoming a politician. Then I thought, but I was too too crazy for that. But nowadays I realize I probably would have fit right in. But then I got a Fulbright scholarship to study acting in England, and I thought, and then this teacher, this old art history teacher of mine, said, you're an actor, you should be an actor. And he saw me in a play. And I said, oh, so how do you do that? He said, and he sort of explained to me as if I were going to apply for a license at the DMV. He says, what you do is you write a letter to the State Department and you say you want a Fulbright to study acting in England because that's where the great actors, study. And I said, oh, okay. And so I did it, and I got it, thinking that that was it.
Right.
You not knowing that there were thousands of people who were applying for that, for that same scholarship. So when I got that, I realized, well, that's what I'm going to do.
Right. So after that, when you started your career in TV, I mean, I looked at your credits, and it's like, I think it starts with NYPD, which was a show I remember with Jack Warden back in the 60s.
Right, and Frank Converse.
And Frank Converse and all of that, which was kind of a groundbreaking show. But all of your TV work, is there anything memorable on that, or is that just, hey?
No, there were things that were memorable. There really were. I mean, but listen, let's face it. TV in the 70s was not TV now.
Right.
I mean, I think TV now is kind of become the feature film that was back in the 60s and the 70s.
Right.
But there were great things. I'm playing with Ruth Gordon in a Kojak. I mean,
right.
that was extraordinary.
Yes.
Extraordinary.
Right.
Working with Buddy Ebsen, of all people, who was the kindest, gentlest man.
Marcy Jones.
Yeah, well, and he was the guy that when I was getting too big for my britches, because I thought I'm slumming here, what am I doing these TV shows? And I would get into fights like an idiot with people and with directors, and generally behaving like a dick. And so one day I got into a terrible fight with this guy, and I was about to walk off, and Buddy sends somebody over and says, Buddy wants to, invite you to lunch. So he invited me to lunch. And he sat me down, and he was a great avid sailor, and he gave me one of his books. He wrote a book about sailing, and he autographed it for me and gave it to me, and I thought he's being very sweet. And he said, listen, you're a really talented young man. He says, you've got to understand, this is a medicine show here. We're selling snake oil. And that's, you have to keep that in mind, in perspective. Don't think that what we're doing here is going to change the world. We're entertaining people and we're selling them some snake oil. And I'll never forget that. And that cooled me right out. And it cooled me out actually forever. He really laid it out for me in a very simple kind of way, politically, socially,
Put it in perspective.
He certainly did.
Yeah. one of the...
I mean, Liberace was also...
Yeah, I was just...
Yeah,
the word
I mean,
was just-
Liberace was a joy.
Yeah.
You know, it was absolutely great.
Yeah.
And it was odd, too, because when I was a kid, people used to call me Liberace. Honestly, you know, and it used to piss me off. What do you mean? I'm not Liberace. I'm a guy.
We have our mutual friend Ira Bear from Deep Space Nine. What was the Deep Space Nine, getting involved in that program, and what's that experience? Because some of these shows, like that particular show, it takes on a life of its own with these conventions and everything else, and documentaries now, I guess. What was that experience like for your career?
Yeah, I mean, that changed my life as much as, say, Dirty Harry.
Really?
Absolutely. I had no idea what I was getting into. You know, slapping on, you know, like several pieces of latex, you know, looking like a cross between, I don't know, Mr. Peanut and, you know, Snake Man. I mean, it was the oddest thing. But I ended up doing some of the best acting I've ever done in my life. And it was liberating, being behind that mask.
Mm-hmm.
And Ira Bear, who was the exec and the head writer on that. I mean, the scripts were fabulous. The writing was excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you're really never any better than your writing.
Right. You've also moved into directing. I know you've directed some shows. How was that? Did you take anything you learned from Don Siegel from that and into the shows that you've directed?
Oh, I'm sure I did, but it was directing television. I hated directing television.
Really?
Yeah, because it was a different world. You sit behind monitors now, you know, or at least,
Yeah.
you know, I'm sure it's probably even changed since then. But sitting behind monitors, and then you've got these producers who are standing behind you and whispering in your ear, wait, you got to cover that. You've got to cover that, you know, and you've got to do the reverse on that. You're going to let her play it like that? And you're sitting there and you're really trying to like sort of do, and the thing I tried to do was what I learned from Don, is like, how do you see this story fold visually inside your mind?
Yeah.
And
you have people talking in your earpiece while you're trying to direct what you're a television network.
It's awful. It's awful. I mean, I appreciate the residuals, and you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I certainly didn't, but I didn't pursue it.
Yeah, because
I went back to directing theater, which you know,
Right.
is something that, you know,
Yeah.
there weren't people sitting around yelling in my ear.
Yeah. A friend and colleague of mine, Philippe Garnier, interviewed Seagal in 1984 when they issued, I think, a British version of the Killers that he directed in 1964 with our good friend Clue that starred with Lee Marvin. And he got Seagal outside a bar where he was leaning against a car, and he started asking him, well, what's your style? You know, and this constant auteur theory thing. And Seagal said, well, you know, when they had me as an AD for Mike Curtiz, I moved the camera a lot and dialed it in because that's what he did. And if it was Raoul Walsh, I made sure I put the camera where I thought Walsh would do it, and so on and so forth. And then he says, well, how did you work with producers? And he just said, I really don't know what producers do, except I like it when they're not there because then I don't have to lie and cheat to get my way.
It's true. The only time I ever heard him really badmouth people, you know, we're producers, and be insulting to them. I mean, to their faces.
Yeah.
You know, and the stories he told about Jack Warner, and then of course there was a love-hate relationship with Jack Warner. But it was mainly hate, actually.
Yeah. He did write a story where one of his films was they were looking at the dailies with Jack Warner and the front office, and Don was in there, and George Raft or someone lights a cigarette, and Warner says, put an insert of someone striking a match on a matchbook to light the cigarette, and Siegel says, why? It's not significant. And Warner said, whose name's on the water tower? Put the F and insert in. And that was that. Let's talk a little bit about your teaching career, because not only are you the head of the Master of Fine Arts teaching program at USC, I've read that you actually founded the program. How did that come about, and how is that working for you?
Well, a friend of mine became the dean, and she said, do you want to apply for this job? And I said, no, I'm still acting, I'm okay. And then Irene said, you know, you're an idiot. Do you notice that the phone is kind of silent these days? And And when you do get work, it's like, you know, it's scale plus 10, which is, you know, and that's a whole other thing. You know, don't go there. Anyway, so I applied, and then I got the job, and it was to start this MFA actor training program. And then I got the idea of creating a professional conservatory program for people who want to become professional actors, and creating the curriculum, and hiring the teachers, and the whole thing that became wonderful. I mean, it was one of the most creative thing that I've done. I since have given over the running of the program to other people, and I'm probably going to teach another year because I'm going back to acting. And yeah.
So the phone is ringing.
Yeah. Well, no. I've learned since that, you know, I at this point, because the only acting I really want to go back to is theater. And
Right.
so, you know, and that's yeah. I mean, that's. I mean, being up here now, I thought, oh yeah, this is fabulous. I mean, you know, this is what I love. I mean, I love being on a stage with human beings. You know.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, Andy, it has been great. If this is your debut return to the stage after teaching, I think you've graced us all with your presence. I really think. Put it together. Andy will be in the lobby signing more copies of his book, and we will be around to put it together. Thanks to Charlie Barrett and Andy Robinson, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Appreciate it.